We now move to public contributions. This evening we will be devoting up to an hour for public contributions. These contributions are invited via the Council's website, and we have 2 speakers this evening and other questions submitted for me to read out. I'm going to start with the 2 speakers this evening and then move on to reading out the question. So I'd now like to ask Toby, Laurent, Belson to speak for up to 5 minutes on the Westway Trust. Toby.
Yes, good evening. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for welcoming me here to speak this evening. I'm going to be speaking about the Westway Trust. There is a motion this evening to do with the Westway Trust and our recent review into institutional racism, which found that the organisation has been and is institutionally racist. I would say that I've come to this meeting with a little bit of apprehension or perhaps dubiousness, and that's really comes from effectively me feeling very much as though I'm in the belly of the beast this evening. I should say that that's not something that is aimed at specific individuals of this council. It's really about the institution that is the council. It is about the institutions that exist in the UK, that exist in London, that exist across the world. Ours in particular, the Westway Trust, has undergone this review. And I'm here to talk today as the chair of the Westway Trust. I'm here as some perhaps small but important change that has occurred at the Westway Trust that has been created through our community. 5 minutes really is it's an inconsequential amount of time for me to be here in my position and with my experience to discuss this. I might go so far as to say it's a disrespectful amount of time, bearing in mind the issues that are to be spoken of here. And I can't hope to speak about racism in 5 minutes. I cannot hope to speak about institutional racism in 5 minutes. I cannot hope to speak of the experiences of North Kensington as a community across 50 years in 5 minutes. That would be a joke. I'm here because of the sacrifice of many members of this community, including the sacrifices, of course, that I've made to be here. And you have a motion this evening that really is a beginning of exploring some of these issues. This review is very much the opening of a box that has been held tightly shut by the institutional culture that has been instilled and sustained by this council over 50 years. Next Friday, it will be 50 years to the day that the Westway Trust, previously the Westway Development Trust, and previous to that, the North Kensington Amenity Trust, was inaugurated. And so it does seem like a fitting time to begin these conversations. But they are really very much a beginning. This motion this evening is a beginning. And as I said at the beginning, I have some apprehension and some dubiousness around this motion and around how this motion will be received by the council, how amendments have been put forward to it, and how we can continue this conversation in the manner and with the intention that it really deserves. So I think that will be about all for me now. I think I don't really want to use up all of the time. I just don't think it's really worth it, because I'm here really to listen I'm really here to listen to your intentions around this motion, around racism, around Westway Trust, and around your intentions to the community of North Kensington. So over to you. Thank you very much.
Toby, thank you very much, and thank you for your contribution to the meeting this evening. Now I'll ask to ask the Leader of the Council, Councillor Elizabeth Campbell, to respond to that, please.
Well, Toby, first of all, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you very much for coming this evening. Thank you very much for your comments, and thank you for addressing the full council in this way. As you said, we'll be discussing the Tutu Foundation review later on the agenda, but you're right, it's the beginning. But I'd just like to say once again that I think it's really important that the council takes publication of the Tutu Foundation's review as a proper opportunity to reflect upon the role it played in enabling institutional racism to develop at the Trust. And I'd just like to start and reiterate what I've said previously, which is I'm very sorry for any part that we played in this. And you're right, it is a beginning. And I'm really encouraged by the work already started by the community groups who are involved in driving change at the Trust, which we fully support. And as you know, I'm also keen to explore ways in which the Council and the Trust can work together in the future. Again, as you said, 5 minutes is too short to talk about racism, and I look forward to speaking to you about this, amongst other things, in the future.
Thank you. Councillor Mason, do you wish to respond, or one of your colleagues from the Labour group?
Yes, of course, Toby's right. 5 minutes is just a flash in the pan, but I think it's good that you are now chair of the Trust, which would have been unthinkable even a few years ago. And back in 1998, people like us and you were, and I have the correspondence to prove this, were called loonies. We could not let the loonies take over the Trust. So in a sense, the motion and everything it represents is like shutting the door on that once it's been recognised. You recognise what happened. And there has to be some kind of recognition, formal recognition by the council of what happened. The members of the council on the majority party side, I don't think any of them were there during the last 30, 40 years, and I think there were a few of ours on the Labour group side who were there. So it's a case of taking responsibility and working forward. It's true that, I mean, it's beyond doubt the institutional racism, the Tutu Foundation report lays out in brief, I would say, because as I said at the time, I think that what actually happened was far, far worse than what the Tutu Foundation report actually said in print. The reality of what happened was far worse for the people, the staff members, the staff there who were completely without any type of support, either from, and I'm talking about ethnic minority staff now in particular. Everybody was harassed, but especially them. There was no support whatsoever from them, and there was no support from the management committee. And the management committee, of course, was led in reality by the majority party members who were there. So we need to recognise what happened. A lot of people's lives were damaged, were very damaged, and there's a lot of evidence there. And I will release the papers over the next, from tomorrow, over the next couple of weeks, and the jury of the public can decide for themselves. But it's very good that Councillor Campbell has agreed that of course she's sorry for what happened, and she personally wasn't there then, but the council as an institution had an iron grip over the Trust, which hopefully it will fully relinquish, because of course the correspondence and the documents that mysteriously disappeared from the Trust offices after the late director left, some of those documents disappeared, but I recovered some of them before he was, or somebody was able to remove them, and they tell a story. They tell a story of a sort of moat castle mentality, where the trust did not trust, saw the community as the enemy, and would have seen people like you, Toby, certainly as the enemy back in the day. And there were many people like you and many people in the community who tried to create change, who tried to exhort the council. There are all sorts of motions from Labour opposition councillors of the day trying to get the council to change or to make the aims and objectives of the trust into a reality that would serve the community. So many people tried, and they were either demonised or voted down. And certainly people in the community like you and others back in the day who tried to campaign to make change, they were either legally or legally attacked, or they were character assassinated by the trust stroke council as far as they saw it. So it's good that the council hopefully tonight will recognise what happened, which is what the motion's about. This is what the Tutu Foundation report effectively, this is what happened. And as I say, it's the tip of the iceberg, really, because a lot of the evidence that was given to the Tutu Foundation for this report is not actually included in the report, and maybe there will be further releases. But it's change that is the big thing. It's taken 50 years, as I think you said, 50 years for the people who should be the recipients of the trust to control, to be responsible for the trust. We always said for years that you and the community in North Kensington were big enough and grown up to be able to run their own charity, their own organisation, their own resources, but there were people with vested interests at the council and at the trust who believed that the local community were not fit and proper, or they were not of the proper political persuasion, or that they were communists, or that there was all kinds of phrases used against them. These people could not be allowed to get their hands on the assets of the trust. So hopefully moving forward, and I was one of the, I saw what happened over 30 years, and it was me in 2012 that advised the then Labour group to go back and put someone on the board of the trust, because we'd been off since 1996 because we couldn't be part of what was happening there. So I myself supported that, and now we are here. So we need to put the past behind us with reparation and recognition of what happened, and not sweep anything under the carpet. And then as the council, move forward and support you and your colleagues and the local community to make a success. Success we know that you can and we all will make of the Westway Trust as it exists today. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for indulging me.
Thank you, and we will be spending time on that in the motion later on. So thank you very much.